question presented by Greenply, powered by Edelweiss Mutual Fund.
Ram Mandir Temple inauguration on Jan 22. Temple Trust officially invites PM for inauguration. NCERT panel recommends to reach India with Bharat in all textbooks. India Alliance slams government over the recommendation, says it shows government's fear of the grouping. Law Commission panel meets Kovind-led panel in a crucial meeting for simultaneous polls.
I think that the Secretary General must resign, because from now on, every day that he is here in this building, unless he apologizes,
Israel hits out at the UN chief. Antonio Guterres over his Hamas remarks called for his resignation. Turkish Prime Minister says he supports a pause but rejects calls for a full ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. All right, welcome friends to this edition of Burning Question. NCERT, or a panel of NCERT in fact, has proposed to replace India with Bharat wherever this appears in all textbooks that hundreds and thousands of Central Board students and those affiliated with Central Board study around the country. The India Alliance is peeved. They are attacking the government, alleging that the proposal has come after government pressure, as they claim that BJP is afraid of India Alliance. Everything, it seems, now is connected with India Alliance when it comes to India. That is, even though it's only a recommendation, yet it has triggered a full-blown political face-off. Listen in to the reactions, jumpy ones coming in from the opposition parties, and then we discuss.
We welcome this, and he has given valid reasons for why this has been done, and the entire anonymously they have taken this decision and they have given this recommendation. Mr. Isaac, the chairman of NCERT, has very clearly said and explained as to how and why this change in the NCERT books are going to happen. Not only that, but they are going to change it from ancient India to classical India, because the ancient India is described in a very bad form. So there are a lot of changes which has to be done, and these are all changes that has to happen. So India, that is Bharat, is in the constitution. So that is Bharat, yes, Bharat. We welcome it.
Why, I don't know. Why are you confusing the young mind of Indians? We all are, who are telling that we are not Bharatiyas, but we all are proud Indians. I think whatever they have taken a stand, completely anti-people, anti-India, anti-Bharat. See, I am telling you, they have been forced by the NDA government. This is completely wrong. We totally agree. I appeal to the government of India not to go to this stand. You can't change the history of India.
All right, I am going to be joined in by a panel of guests. Shazia Ilmi, spokesperson of the BJP, in a bit, but I can see on the screens Lokesh Jindal leans towards the Congress party and Desh Ratan Nigam leans towards the right. So I would want to begin with Lokesh Jindal first, even as we wait for the joining of Akashdeep Punni and Manasvi Thapar. Hangama क्यों है बरपा लोकेश जिंदल? Recommendation ही तो है.
Well, this recommendation is surprising Because if you talk about the age of classicism or classical history, which they talk about, now every region had its own phase of classical history. For example, the Vijayanagar Empire, it was in the medieval time period. And the Gupta Empire, it was during the ancient time period. Then we had the age of Rajputana. So you do not have one precise time period for classical history. Whereas there was a fixed pattern, there was a fixed periodization on the basis of which we had demarcated ancient, medieval, and modern history. Secondly, when you're talking about the name Bharat, now please tell me, in the entire global geography, there is only one ocean that is named after a country, that is Indian Ocean. And now, are you going to ask the entire international forum to change it to Bharatiya Ocean? See, India, the name derives from the river Indus, the Indus civilization. Even Megasthenes, he wrote a textbook, the Megasthenes Indica. So it has its own history, it has its own legacy. Yes, presently, if we aim at, if the government thinks or there is a move so as to change the name of the country, even then, why to destroy the historical legacy? It is important that education must be insulated from politicization, because it is going to corrupt the minds of the people. A healthy mind must be away from all these conjectures and generalization which are having political end. A critical mind requires access to all forms of information, all point of view, and a multidimensional thought. So I would request, I would pray to the NCRT to reconsider this proposal which they had put forth and come out with a wiser form of methodology in bringing about reforms.
Okay, you got your opening comments. I'm told Shazia Ilmi has also joined us. She's going to give us the BJP view and hence the government view. So I'll come to you, Shazia, in a bit. But I have Mr. Deshratan Nigam, also leans towards the right, a Supreme Court lawyer. Mr. Deshratan Nigam, let me just give you or structure Lokesh Jindal's comments so that you respond to them. Now, what he's saying is the name India comes from Indus. Megasthenes gave that name. He has concerns about how you would rename Indian Ocean, and are you going to the world to tell them that please name it Bharatiya Samudra ya Bharatiya Mahasagar. And then he says conjectures, generalizations with political edge should be avoided, and education should be focused more on a multi-dimensional mind, etc., etc. Now, that's a critic he has brought in of this idea, which is beginning with change of India to Bharat wherever it is mentioned in the textbooks. And then, of course, there are some aspects which I'll discuss later. But your first reaction or response to this structured criticism coming in from Lokesh Jindal?
Trying to look for some kind of a structure. And also with my microscopic and telescopic views, I tried to find some logic in it, but I could not find it. All over the world, if you look at the history, the countries have, chosen the name given by themselves, not by foreign powers. This is the entire history of the world. And that probably misses the mark with the Congress and their spokesperson. Now, I don't see how Bharat is not wise or multidimensional and India is. No reason has been given. The fact remains, Bharat is an ancient name, and every puja that we have, there is a shabd called Bharat Khande. And that is how you identify a person from the universe till the place, local place that you have. And that kind of a thing, that kind of a logic, the only opposition is that because the BJP is doing it. Nothing else. If they had done it, then it was all right. Therefore, today, what we have to see, that the classical aspect that he talked about, because it only talked about India's defeats, the earlier history written by the Congress historians in collusion with the leftists was only about defeats of Indian kings. No victories have been shown in the history books. That has to be changed. That is the essence of Bharat. Bharat is all inclusive. It talks about India Okay, fine. At that point of time, probably the mood was that at the time of framing of the constitution, but then they also said India, that is Bharat, in the constitution. So now slowly, the present generation is trying to change that. What is wrong in it? It is our essence. It is our name given to ourselves, coming from ancient times. But the Congress, that is why some people say, the genuine historians, India did not get independence. There was only transfer of power from the white Britishers to brown Angrez, which was the Congress. And that is what they have been continuing. All the time our history is demeaning ourselves. The Mughals, 150 years of Mughal history is the only thing that is there. Vijayanagar Empire is taught in a small paragraph in the history books. Now it will be in all the Indian knowledge systems will also come into the picture in all curriculums. So please remember, this is what multidimensional aspect is. Not only highlighting one aspect. Yes, Mughals and Sultans can be a part of your history, but cannot be a part of your heritage. Please remember that. Because of the slavery they did, the cruelty they did. Good, bad or ugly, history has to be taught. But what is good in us has also to be taught to us.
Okay, so the counter of Lokesh Jindal by Deshratan Nigam is that what has been taught to us in the recent past is essentially a lopsided history, a one-sided one at that, and perhaps it compromises the greatness of the classical era, or if not the greatness of the classical era, it diminishes the significance of the classical era vis-a-vis the recent past or the medieval past. That's the counter coming in from Deshratan Nigam on the changes or the critique that Lokesh gave of the proposed changes. I'll come to you, Lokesh. No, I have to get the opening comment from Shazia before I get. Shazia, it's your government in power, your party in power. Why is it that every 2-3 months we keep getting this information in a manner that it sort of generates a controversy even before something is implemented? I mean, for God's sake, this is just a recommendation of a subcommittee which is going to give its report to the NCERT. The full council is going to look at it. I mean, why this hurry of, giving in these leaks here and there, and sort of, maybe, is the government really testing the waters to see, or this is just aimed at maybe elections?
Well, in our country, elections happen all around the year, which is why there has been a recommendation of one nation, one poll. And that is being looked at seriously, because the same charges can't be made, and things that ought to be done day after day, month after month, with a fixed agenda or a specific agenda of good governance is provided to the people. Coming to the topic now, Abhishek, I find it very interesting why, and I don't understand, your question is valid. Why should there be any controversy over this? Why does somebody like Jairam Ramesh see red when there is an invite from the President of Bharat as President of Bharat at G20 summit, and the booklet is printed in a manner, or the invitation in such a manner that says Bharat? So when clearly Congress admits, and we know the Constitution says it, the first article 1.1 clearly says it, India, that is Bharat. So and it's used interchangeably. So I don't understand what is this allergy with Bharat and Bharatiya. I don't get it. And now about NCERT syllabus, if indeed this is being changed after a recommendation that has been made earlier and is being implemented, I don't understand why there should be a controversy. All over the world, if you look at Ireland, Cambodia, Burma, Myanmar, cities like, Florence and Firenze, Venice and Venezia, it is happening all over, and it's happened all over. So I don't get it. What is this allergy, this anathema that Bharat has become for these people? The biggest fight that I think that Bharatiya Janata Party is having to undertake right now, the war that is on, is against colonization and colonization of minds. These brown Pakka Sahibs, which are the leftovers of the old legacy and the hangover of British Raj and a very sad, tragic colonial history. This is the aftermath, and these are the last dregs, so to speak. And I think we must decolonize our minds And this is a very essential step which has to be welcomed by everybody. If India is the international name, so I don't quite get it. I think there is something, I really want to question the mindset, the brown sahib mentality of some people, of the members of the Congress party who really find Bharat as a name and anathema to the being. But that is who we are as a civilization. That is our ethos. And India as a name we use constitutionally, internationally, but territorially, culturally, civilizationally. If our ethos is that of Bharatiya, Bharatiyata, Bharat, I don't get the controversy. You see, it's baffling to me at all times.
Okay. Lokesh, now you got the drift, what Shazia says is that this revision is rooted in a civilizational understanding of the country, which was missing in the history that was being taught, or the textbooks that had whatever content they had till now. So basically the review that's happening, obviously it's BJP and RSS leaning government in power. So obviously they would want to have their own understanding of history of India's civilization reflected, because they say they have a mandate, they are in power. The people want whatever changes they are bringing in. The specific criticism of this reaction is, Lokesh, that there seems to be some allergy in the Congress party and the extended opposition. I was listening to the soundbite of Manoj Jha, for example, of the RJD, to Bharat being brought in, not because per se they have a problem, but because the BJP and RSS are bringing it, and they are seen as a long-standing votary of this kind of change. For them, it's decolonization. For you, it's RSS, right-wing, Hindutva element or ideology which is coming into the textbook. That's why you are opposing. You can't see anti-colonialism in this. You are only stopping at the anti-RSS part of it.
First, I want to make it clear that this revision is not something new. In the 1930s itself, we had a nationalist interpretation of history, which was championed by historians such as K.P. Jaiswal, who stated or who glorified ancient Indian past. It was a reaction against the Cambridge School of History. But then a more developed form of a history emerged from 60s and 70s, which is most popularly known as the materialistic interpretation of history, followed by the subaltern school of history. Now, what I'm saying is, if India wants to progress indeed, it's important that we must make our academia also progressive, to make new interpretations in the light of new sources that are available to us and devoid of any politicization. But sir, you are taking the history back to 1930s, when there was a glorification of the golden age era, which was popularized, that in ancient past we had a golden age, then there was a dark ages, the deterioration, as Mr. Nigam said, that the Mughals and the Sultanate which came, it only was regressive for India's past. That is not so, sir. During the Mughals' time, we had the Mansabdari system, which laid down the basis towards Indian bureaucracy. If you talk about Indian bureaucratic history, it owes its origin to the Mansabdari system. Now, in the Vijayanagar Empire, I don't know which NCERT books you have read. There is extensive literature about the Vijayanagar Empire, the manner of administration, the socio-cultural development, mode of economy. So if you read history, the present curriculum that is there, it gives justice to all forms, all facets. Trying to say that there was a historical distort that was being done from 1950s is absolutely wrong. It shows that you are ignorant of the history as a subject. Yes, make this subject a progressive one, have new interpretations to it, but I strongly oppose any form of politicization of academia, because it is going to harm the future generations. We cannot indoctrinate the future generations just for the sake of political ends. The point is, madam, although your rhetoric, it might seem pleasing.
So this is a big problem. So
Shazia gets to respond, because you're saying this is politicization of academia. Shazia gets to respond. Shazia.
So exactly my point. This is what they want. This is exactly what they want the future generations and the present generations of India to know. India as a land of losers, not to mention dynasties, kings and queens, tribal leaders, peasant leaders, who are part of the subaltern history. But even before that, if you look at the classical history, I'm not even talking about the Gupta period, which about was the golden period of India. But all the times where Indian rulers have fought valiantly and beaten the conquerors, whether it was a fight against the Dutch or the French or the British at different parts of India, or even the Mughals and some Mughals, there are so many different, schools and timelines which have completely been ignored. This obsession with medieval history that we have, and the Delhi Sultanate, for some strange reason, I don't
Can
get
I
it.
ask
Whether
one
it's
question,
Qutbuddin
Shazia?
Aibak or the rest. So see, this is a difference. Now here, Abhishek, let me spell out. Now this is what the essential difference between
Abhishek, I have
my
one
party,
question to ask
Bharatiya
if you allow.
Janata Party, and
Lokesh, hold on. Let her respond. I'll come to you.
And Congresses, because they rather have us as a defeated, kingdom with rulers who were, who could not vanquish themselves, who had trouble fighting off the aggressors, whereas we want to highlight the glorious chapters of India, rename the unsung kings and queens, and there's so many, and regain the idea of valor that was very much intrinsic to who we were as a people. So I think this is it. It's spelled out. Okay. I'm glad Lokesh has spoken very freely and honestly about how Congress views India and its history. Because
Can I ask a question, Shazia?
No, you may not
Yes,
ask a
Shazia,
question.
I want to ask a question.
Shazia, ask a question to Shazia. I allow ask a question to Shazia. Shazia, he's asking a question to you.
Abhishek.
Shazia, do you agree that V.D. Savarkar called the rebellion of 1857 as first war of independence? Do you believe that 1857 was the first war of independence?
Yes, and it was Mr. Savarkar who wrote about that for the first
so
time.
My question is, why did the mutineers? Why did Shazia, please listen to the question. Please listen to the question.
Shazia, let him ask the question.
Listen to the question.
Just read it. So you see, this is the difference.
Let me ask the question.
Now you
Abhishek, she's listening.
Abhishek, can you?
Yes, she's listening. Shazia, listen to the question, then you
Allow me
respond.
to ask the question.
The first battle of Indian.
Shazia, listen to the question and then respond.
Or Buxar or Plassey.
Shazia, listen to the
I'm
question.
talking about the first battle of independence at every level.
Okay, Shazia,
listen. Listen to the question.
Whitewashing of
Listen to the question.
Which we don't. No. I want him to listen to me.
Shazia, listen to the question.
Listen to him. Those are the history books.
Okay, let her complete.
Shazia, listen to the question.
And Chalukyas. Why didn't I?
No, Lokesh, let her respond completely. Let her complete, then you ask.
Shazia, my question is, why did the mutineers?
No, Lokesh, let her complete, then you ask. Let her complete.
Yes,
so
she's
Lokesh,
completed.
let her complete, then you ask.
I think she's completed.
Okay, then go ahead.
Yes. Why did the mutineers call the Mughal emperor Shahenshah Hindustan? Why did they wage the banner of First War of Independence under the name of the Mughal emperor? Answer this question.
No, I'll answer. So whether it was Bajirao Peshwa or Rani Jhansi,
Bajirao, forget Bajirao Peshwa, 1857.
If you'll be quiet, you'll be able to understand the point I'm making. Whether it was Tantia Tope or Bajirao or Peshwa, or Nara Rao Peshwa, or it was Rani Jhansi, we know how the first battle of Plassey, first battle of independence happened, which was called as a Sepoy rebellion. So there is no even amongst the Mughals, there are the likes of Aurangzeb, but they also
why did the mutineers, why did the sepoys declare?
Okay, Lokesh, Shazia, hold on. Shazia, hold on.
Lokesh, you're doing it deliberately.
Shazia, hold on.
I think.
I'm not.
Let me ask this question to you. Do you dispute that 1857 was not first war of independence?
Lokesh represents the Congress party, which wants to only glorify the Mughal period and some Shahenshah Raj of that era, while our belief is that that all the unsung heroes, the classical times, which
Okay.
is the beyond medieval, before medieval, have to also to be talked about and must be given equal weightage, and not to be obsessed with Delhi Sultanate and most inconspicuous this thing, and make it so Delhi Sultanate specific history that all of us had to endure in a ICSC/CBSC curriculum. And I think students of India and our present generations will do well to know about the valor of their leaders. Instead of having that part of history whitewashed only to glorify and please a few people, only because it suits their vote bank politics. I mean, I am a very proud Indian and an Indian Muslim woman, but I want to have access to correct history.
Right now, Abhishek, did you hear the word?
I'll come to you, but I have a question I'll come to you, Deshratan Nigam. Lokesh, listen,
Yes.
let me conduct the debate. Lokesh, you have had one round of direct conversation with Shazia. Now I want to know, you asked this question about the first war of independence, 1857, quoting Savarkar. You don't agree that it was first war of independence?
There are a lot of interpretations to it. Why is it not the first war of independence?
There it is. There you go. There is no interpretation.
Madam, I think my name is Lokesh. I think he has asked the question to me. The question is asked to me. Can I answer, ma'am?
So I'm just telling the readers.
Answer.
The viewers,
Lokesh, answer.
This is a big difference. For Lokesh and Congress party.
Abhishek,
Okay, Shazia, let her respond.
For us, there is no interpretation.
Let's listen to the Congress party version. Let's listen to the Congress party version. Maybe they would be in agreement with V.D. Savarkar on one thing. Lokesh, please tell me whether 1857 was first war of independence or not.
No, he said there are many interpretations.
Was the rebellion of 1857 aiming at establishing a democratic republic?
No, that was
based
not the
upon
question.
Indian
Don't try and
nationalism?
be too
Was it
clever by
aiming
half.
at establishment of...
No, are you suggesting that 1857 qualifies as war of independence only if it meets the standards of 1947, Lokesh? Is that your understanding of history?
Abhishek,
And by the way, 1947 was not war of independence, it was sheer transfer of power.
The rebellion of 1857, it had national consciousness, but it cannot be considered as a national war of independence in the modern sense. The racial discrimination...
Why? Because Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was not born? Only after Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was born, freedom movement started, right?
No, in fact, no, absolutely. 1905, when there was an anti-partition movement, I call it as more national in its consciousness rather than 1857. The simple reason being, and in 1905, we did not have Jawaharlal Nehru. Or I would say that during the time period of post-1880s.
Lokesh,
Look,
Lokesh,
Abhishek,
listen,
I am
also a student of history, I think the reason...
over here.
Because you said materialism in history is something which is 1960s, 70s, and in the light of which the history textbooks were written. Now, I think there is a nuance there. The reason why you think 1857 was a rebellion and not a national consciousness war, but 1905
it did have an element of
could be the reason,
consciousness,
could be
but
because,
you cannot consider it as a...
Could be because, listen, let me complete. Could be because that between 1857 and 1905, telegraph had been invented, communication lines were there, speedier movement was there, railways was there. You know, people were not still trotting on horseback like it was the case in 1857. But that does not.
I'll just...
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Between 1857 and 1905, those changes happened. The changes of technology, the changes of transportation, the changes in communication, the spread of press, obviously made more and more of the masses, the changes in literacy, made 1905 a little bigger movement, as 1930 civil disobedience movement, much bigger than the 1905. As 1942 Quit India movement, bigger than 1931 civil disobedience movement, and so of course 1947. So I think you are mistaking the advancement in communication and technology with whether a particular period was about freedom sentiment or not. I think 1857 qualified as first war of independence and not just a battle like Buxar or Plassey is because it was coming together of so many interests at so many levels and unified factor that the foreign power had to be thrown out. So in that sense, I think you, Lokesh, for some very good reason, find yourself in agreement with V.D. Savarkar on that note. But because you mentioned the material history, I want to bring in Ratan. Okay, we have had a conversation between us. Let me get in Deshratan Nigam. I'll come back to you. We have time. Don't worry. We have time. You see, Deshratan Nigam, because Lokesh is talking about material history, let me give him an example. You know, this goddess of material history or history writing in India, Romila Thapar, when we speak about excesses of Bakhtiyar Khalji.
Wait, Abhishek, I would object
she
to
would
this.
Say,
please do not pinpoint a particular name. Listen,
let me complete. You object to after I say something. No?
Romila Thapar is a very respectable historian, but please understand, she belongs to a league of historians, material interpretation of historians. No, but pinpointing some form of tagging her with certain form of a generalization is something I will not accept it, because you are unqualified to comment in that particular manner. You do not have adequate knowledge of history, and trying to tag Romila Thapar with certain form of a generalization and commenting upon it is something that I would object to, and I will not accept it. She's a very senior historian. Please.
Okay, now let me respond. Okay, let me respond to your objections. First up, this is not a history seminar where I need to be a PhD in history to be commenting on this. We are discussing
please
in a television debate on national TV.
Then.
Number one. No, why not? We are discussing everything. We discuss scientists, historians, politicians, everything. Now, number two, I have studied Romila Thapar in quite some detail. At least 3 books by her and at least 2 books by her professor under whom she did PhD, A.L. Basham. So I am reasonably educated person insofar as history writing is concerned and interpretation of history is concerned. She did her PhD under A.L. Basham, who was an Australian professor, by the way. Okay, now, Deshratan Nigam, the material history and the material historians and the Marxist materialists, whatever, I am just sort of broad basing it because Lokesh says don't generalize one person. But, Romila Thapar, she says that when you talk about the excesses of Bakhtiyar Khalji, she says, no, Bakhtiyar Khalji never traveled to as far as eastern Patna and Bakhtiyarpur. If you change the name of Bakhtiyarpur, she says, oh, you are erasing a part of history. Now imagine the kind of duplicity that's there. If Bakhtiyar Khalji never traveled to Bakhtiyarpur, you change the name, what's the problem? Why is it an attack on any kind of element of history? Right?
Yes, absolutely. Abhishek, in fact,
allow me to give you an example. When Government of India under Mr. Nehru formed a committee to write history, R.C. Majumdar was made the chairman of that committee. However, he was being dictated to write a particular kind of a history and he resigned. He said, I will not bootlick it. And it is a matter of record. Then he wrote his own textbooks on history, 2 volumes. And that is where, people like Romila Thapar ran away when questioned by Sitaram Goyal about the authenticity and the factual incorrectness in her books and this thing. She never used to reply. It was all there in the newspapers. Please read Sitaram Goyal, who challenged at every aspect Romila Thapar. She had no answer to it. So please don't tell anybody on this panel, including the anchor, that we are not qualified. I have read enough on it. I have been on many debates on rewriting history. Please do not do that. It is Congress who continue to teach us that 1857 is a mutiny in the NCRT books. It was Veer Savarkar and some of your leaders accepted, including Shashi Tharoor, including Manish Tiwari, with me on a debate, have accepted it as a first war of independence. And here you sit under 2 leadership's guidance and trying to mislead the people. This is not how it is going to be. India's history is going to be told by Indians in their own words.
Lokesh, quickly respond before I give the last word to Shazia.
Yes.
Please understand
at one
that.
point of time,
do not mislead people.
Sir, at one
Get
point
out
of
that
time,
Brown
you say.
Sahib syndrome.
No,
Jindal
allow
Sahab,
me
get
to
out
answer.
of that
Allow me
Brown
to
Sahib
answer.
syndrome.
Sir,
Please be more
you also
Bharatiya.
get out of that.
You have no more connections with the
Sir,
Britishers
you plus
now.
get
Even
rid
the
of that
British has
distorted
a brown
lens
man as a
of
prime minister today.
historiography, false
Please learn
historiography
certain
that you
facts
have
from the
read.
people. The
Allow me to answer,
people have
sir. Allow me
changed. The
to
country
answer.
has changed.
Okay,
My
You are still in the
question still
colonial
remains the
mindset.
same.
We are not going to read
Deshratan
your
Nigam, hold on.
history.
Pull back.
Mr.
Deshratan Nigam,
Nigam,
pull
my
back.
question still remains the
I am
same.
coming to the
My
end of the
question still
conversation.
remains
I will give
same.
the last word to Shazia, but before that, Lokesh, you get to respond to
Yes.
Deshratan Nigam. The only thing I want to
Yes.
tell you is that you see this entire exercise, National Council of Educational Research and Training, set up at the time of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, 1960s. NCERT does this review periodically based on whatever changes have happened and this is not just limited to history. We are discussing aspect of history, but then this review is amul chul jaise kehte hain. It is comprehensive. Now the NCERT review is of National Curriculum Framework, which was made under the chairmanship of K. Kasturirangan, former ISRO chief. So you don't doubt, the capability of the person who wrote the National Curriculum Framework. Now to connect the National Curriculum Framework with the textbooks, there is this National Syllabus and Teaching Learning Material Committee, NSTC, which is a 19-member body, which has members like Sudha Murthy and Shankar Mahadevan. But more importantly, it is a committee of experts. The chairman of the committee is MC Pant. He is National of Educational Planning and Administration head. The co-chair of the committee is Manjul Bhargav. He is he has won the mathematics Nobel, and he's a mathematics professor at the Princeton University. So this is the kind of committee that's looking into it. Then this NSTC is assisted by curricular area groups working, specialists working on their domain. So it's a very comprehensive exercise going on, Lokesh Jindal. As you said, let's leave it. Romila Thapar could be the goddess of Marxist historians in the country. But the fact is that there is an aspect of history which was absolutely shadow banned. That shadow banning is lifting, and maybe that is something which is causing discomfiture, as in the case of the 1857 First War of Independence, which you are still calling a rebellion. Lokesh.
No, my question still remains the same. There is a major confusion. At one point of time, you call the Mughals foreigners, and it is on record that the rebels, the
Mughals were foreigners.
1857 revolt.
Are you disputing that? Mughals were foreigners.
Okay. Then why did the soldiers declare Bahadur Shah Zafar, the Mughal emperor, as Shahenshah Hindustan? Answer this question. I'll be all yours.
On that.
Tell me.
Because he was the Shahenshah of Hindustan at that time.
Tell me.
He was the emperor, right? He was deposed by the British.
What? So basically, you are.
It's a
No.
Over
here, that's the
What are you trying to prove? Shazia, what is he trying to prove?
You're not getting the point, actually. There is no dispute on that. Who's disputing that? What happened in Meerut?
There is no dispute on that.
If they were foreigners, if it's the first war of independence, why did... why was the war fought so as to have the rule of foreigners?
Can I come in, please? I want to make...
Tell me one thing. Why was the revolt of 1857 aiming at establishing the rule of foreigners?
It's enunciated extremely well in this debate. The difference between the mindsets. I think we've all read Samuel Huntington's...
Madam, forget the mindset. Educate me, enlighten me.
So
why was Bahadur Shah Zafar declared...
She's doing that. Listen to her. She's doing that. Listen to her.
This is very... I think it's a very untidy and an uneducated way to conduct a debate. Or not pointing fingers at you, or to participate in a debate. I think it's very sane and...
Madam, if you're not having the answer, it is understood.
To the other party. I've heard you, and I'm answering.
Lokesh, pull back, please. Shazia, respond.
Here, it's just like Samuel Huntington talked about a clash of civilizations. There is a clash here in India. It has been very evident in this debate, and both the points of view have been very extremely well enunciated by the various protagonists, or I don't know who's the antagonist here, of the debate. Now, this is a clash of 2 points of view, of two mentalities or mindsets. One is those who want to believe in decolonization of the Indian mind, and also purge any notions of slavery or a Stockholm syndrome when it comes to being ruled by a colonial ruler.
Can I come in, Abhishek?
And seizing your own sovereignty and your own agency. Also in the past, coming from the great leaders that we've had, the kings and the queens, and as opposed to those who just are stuck because of their vote bank politics, is very limited. And also they do the biggest disservice to great Mughal leaders like Akbar.
Shazia,
harping on this. No dispute on the fact that Bahadur Shah Zafar was the last emperor. And this is, so there is, who's disputing that? But saying that this is the only point on which the whole argument rests is the biggest flaw, the biggest chink in the armor.
Shazia, Shazia, I've unfortunately run out of time. We had a very engaging 40 minutes of conversation between the four of us. And I'm in fact going to come back to this again at 10 p.m., friends. But what is important is that this review of NCERT textbooks again provides us as a nation and society an opportunity to look at the kind of distortions that had come in, and if we can do something about it so that we as a society become a more positive, forward-looking, and more importantly, more confident of ourselves society. I think that should be the objective. On that note, thank you so much, Shazia, Deshratan Nigam, and Lokesh Jindal for joining us. Everyone contributes to this debate as we do. A short break. On the other side, Arnab Goswami is back with the debate.
QS and THE, the world's foremost university rankings organizations, have ranked Amity amongst the top 3% universities globally, making it among the very few Indian universities to be included in both rankings. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
Shah, Rajnath Singh ji, Piyush Goyal,
मेरे देशवासी भव्य भारत की गारंटी है।
जनता का भी इच्छा भी थी, संकल्प भी था।
राज ठाकुर जी, ममता बिस्वा शर्मा जी,
QS&THE, the world's foremost university rankings organizations, have ranked Amity amongst the top 3% universities globally, making it among the very few Indian universities to be included in both rankings. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
Ram Mandir inauguration on January